We appreciate your expertise and your time on this hopeful Friday as we anticipate that official green light for this Pfizer vaccine here. I want your thoughts at this moment. Are you satisfied with the processes that have taken place to this point to get to the emergency use authorization that we expect any moment?
Absolutely. What we've seen is a good deal of transparency. The companies made their protocols public. The data is now public. What we know is that it's highly effective, 90% plus 95% in all different age groups, which is really encouraging. It's surprisingly good news, and no serious bad reactions. Not uncommon for people to have a headache, fatigue, feel feverish or chills for a few hours or a day or two after the vaccination. All of that is really important information, and that transparency is going to help people get vaccinated, help people have trust. But Peter, there's one thing we have to know. On the one hand, we need to get the vaccine out as soon and safely as possible, especially for nursing home, long-term care facility residents and staff. At the same time, it's going to be, sadly, many months before all of us who would like to get a vaccine can get a vaccine. And that's why in this time, especially as cases are surging and surging, we need to double down on protection protocols so that as many people as possible can still be alive and around to get the vaccine when it is their turn.
Dr. Frieden, let me ask you, so there were about 20 plus panelists that were involved in this advisory committee. They voted in support of its authorization, 17-4. A lot of Americans are going to say, why did 4 experts vote against this? And while they don't sort of provide an explanation for their no vote, we did hear the conversation focused a lot on those adolescents. Right now, the authorization, at least their recommendation, is for those above the age of 16. There's not a lot of study for those between the ages of 16 and 18. Is there any reason for concern for adolescents to be taking this going forward?
I actually listened to parts of that conversation, and it's important to explain to people what they were concerned about. They weren't concerned that it was unsafe for kids. They weren't concerned that there might be more bad reactions in kids. What their point was that this is an emergency use authorization. And the criteria for an emergency authorization is that the benefits clearly outweigh the risks. And the risks of COVID in kids are really quite low. And that was really the discussion. It wasn't, should it be authorized? I think everyone on the committee probably would have voted for a regular authorization. I can't say that for sure, but that was my understanding of the discussion. The question was just, in an emergency authorization, should it cover those younger people for whom there's less data?
And so what systems are in place going forward once these vaccines begin to be sent across the country, which is its own logistics challenge? What systems are in place to sort of monitor the safety of those recipients? Of course, in the UK, they reported 2 allergic reactions, which has the risk of being overplayed, even though it's very likely that those with high allergies could have an impact like this. What systems will keep an eye on those in America who take this vaccine?
Well, there are quite a few systems and more being developed for this. This is, without a doubt, the most complicated vaccination program in American history. And in order to do it right, you're going to have to track vaccinations, make sure people can get their second shot, and see what kind of adverse events arise. What we do in this situation is project for every million people vaccinated, how many people would you expect, if they didn't get a vaccination, would have had a heart attack or a stroke or a seizure or some other serious problem. And then you look at that expected rate and you find the rate after vaccination and you see if there's a difference that might suggest what's called a safety signal or a possible problem. We already know that with tens of thousands of people vaccinated, there's been no serious adverse event. But when hundreds of thousands or millions or tens or hundreds of millions of people get vaccinated, it may be that you have a 1 in a million adverse event, and it may be that it appears that way, and you have to investigate it. Some of those adverse events can be rapidly treated.
Dr. Frieden, your message in a sentence to those Americans still debating whether to get it is?
Well, I would say when it's my turn to get a vaccine, I will certainly get one. But until there's a vaccine, be safe because it's not here yet.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.